Men who are abusive do have a chronic and severe problem. You must take their behavior seriously and make all the necessary plans to ensure that you and your children are safe and free from violence. Remember, no one deserves to be abused in any way. We're very happy to have Eve here today to talk about safety for victims of domestic violence.
It's my pleasure to be part of this important message.
Thanks, Eve. What does a victim do or say when she's being physically attacked by her partner?
Safety is first. Her main goal is to get away from her attacker. Saying anything at this point serves no purpose because literally he's not in his right mind if he's physically attacking. So once she's out of his physical control, she finds the nearest exit and calls 911, or she goes to a neighbor to call.
What does a victim do or say when she's being verbally abused, like a threat, being called a name, or being cursed at?
Well, when you're being verbally abused, in order to prevent the escalation from the abuser is not to respond, not to engage in the name-calling or threats. Say nothing. You do not want to provoke him any further. So the fact that he's being verbally abusive at this point means that he's losing control of being logical and rational. So separating yourself as soon as possible is very important as well.
What can a victim do about her children at the time she's being verbally or physically attacked?
Keep them safe to the best of her ability. She does not want them to be witnessing verbal and physical abuse. So the best thing to do is to send them to a neighbor's house or to their friend's house or to a safe house. Have a plan with your neighbor or safe house if this starts to be a repeating occurrence. Better yet, don't stay in an abusive relationship. Remember, it takes a lot of hard work from an abuser to make the necessary changes to be free of violence.
I'm curious, what can a victim do when her partner has blocked an exit so she can't leave the house?
Well, don't struggle with him. At this point, he's stronger than you are because he's angrier than you are. Find an exit as quickly as possible, contact your neighbor, and then call 911. And just like the children, have a plan in place with your neighbor and alternative routes for escape.
Why can't abusive men calm down and control their temper?
Because they haven't learned strategies and insight on how to calm down. However, they can calm down if they strengthen the rational and logical part of the brain, what we call the prefrontal cortex. It takes a lot of work. An abusive man hasn't learned these skills, so he will continue to get angry when he doesn't get his way and when he perceives that he's losing control.
What should the victim say to the partner once he has calmed down and is apologetic and remorseful?
Well, first realize that this honeymoon phase is predictable in the cycle of violence. And know that even though he may be well-intentioned and wants to change, it will happen again unless he gets help. So rather than say anything at all, just listen and acknowledge that he's sorry, but know that this may not change.
Why does it take so long for a battered woman to leave an abusive relationship?
Oh, there are so many reasons, but it boils down to this. She feels he will change, and he doesn't really mean to act that way. And also, the abuser has convinced her that she's worthless and couldn't make it on her own. Plus the fact that he has convinced her that nobody will want her. So this chips away at her self-esteem and keeps her from leaving. Now, there are phases which have been identified that women experience as a victim of being battered. The most obvious to everyone but the victim is denial. Now, she refuses to admit that she's been mistreated. She offers excuses for her abuser's violent actions, and then she really believes it will never happen again. Another phase is guilt. The victim acknowledges that there's a problem, but she considers herself responsible for it. And she feels in some ways she's deserving of being abused because she doesn't live up to his expectations. There is the awareness phase. The victim no longer assumes responsibility for being mistreated. However, she still stays in the marriage because she's hopeful they can work things out. And then finally, she takes action. The victim accepts the fact that her partner cannot change his violent behavior, decides to no longer submit to his violence, and starts a new life. You are not alone. There are many resources available in your community or nearby to guide you to a safer and happier future free of violence. An immediate source is to call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. The number is 1-800-799-7233. Again, the number is 1-800-799-7233. Please don't be afraid to call.